In the very beginning, there was nothing, only darkness and silence. But the Spirit of God hovered over the deep waters. There was anticipation, a sense of something extraordinary about to happen. And then God spoke, "Let there be light." Instantly, a brilliant glow pierced through the darkness. God saw the light was good, and he separated it from the darkness. This marked the first day. God continued shaping his masterpiece. He spoke again, "Let there be a space to separate waters from waters." An expansive sky stretched across the waters, vast and majestic. Clouds gently drifted across the heavens, and a serene beauty filled the new creation. This was the second day. On the third day, God said, "Let dry land appear." Mountains rose majestically from the deep, valleys and plains emerged, shaping a magnificent landscape. Then he commanded, "Let the earth sprout vegetation trees, plants and flowers bearing seeds and fruits." Suddenly, lush green plants burst forth, flowers blossomed brilliantly, and tall trees spread their branches wide, filling the earth with vibrant colors and sweet fragrances. God saw it was good. Then, on the fourth day, God turned his gaze to the skies again and declared, "Let there be lights in the heavens to separate day from night." The sun burst forth, radiant and warm, governing the day. The moon softly illuminated the night sky. Stars sparkled brilliantly, forming constellations, guiding future generations. God saw it was good. On the fifth day, life stirred more abundantly. God spoke, "Let the waters swarm with living creatures and the skies fill with birds." Instantly, seas brimmed with magnificent creatures, whales gliding gracefully, fish shimmering brilliantly beneath the waves. Birds filled the air with melodies, soaring freely across the skies. God saw it was good and blessed them to thrive. The sixth day dawned, and God's creation continued magnificently. Let the earth produce every kind of animal, wild beasts, cattle, and crawling creatures. Majestic lions roamed proudly, gentle deer grazed peacefully, and vibrant butterflies fluttered among the flowers. God saw everything was good, yet something special was still missing. And so God created humans in his own image. From the dust of the earth, he formed man and woman, breathing life into them, giving them authority over his creation, and blessing them abundantly. With all creation completed, God rested on the seventh day, establishing a sacred rhythm of rest and renewal. He looked over everything he had made, filled with joy and satisfaction, and declared it very good. The earth flourished in perfect harmony, filled with peace and abundant life. From the darkness to the vibrant landscapes, from the stars in the heavens to the depths of the oceans, each aspect of creation speaks of divine love, purpose, and beauty. And at the heart of it all, the Creator desires to know and love us, inviting us to marvel at his masterpiece. And as we look around, may we remember the Creator who crafted all things with wisdom, beauty, and purpose. In the beginning, the world had already taken shape. The first chapter had woven the fabric of creation, the skies, the earth, the waters, the light. But now, in the second chapter, a different story unfolds. A story of life, love, and divine purpose. The earth had just been formed, the mountains standing tall, the rivers winding their way through the land like veins of life. But something was missing. The land was empty. The sky was vast, but quiet. And then, God did something extraordinary. He breathed life into the dust. From the clay of the earth, he shaped a man, the first human, a creature unlike any other. He named him Adam. And for Adam, the world was a masterpiece. He placed him in a garden, a paradise on earth called Eden. Imagine this: towering trees with fruits of every color, rivers flowing with crystal clear waters, and animals of every kind frolicking freely. There was no need for work, no struggle, just peace, beauty, and harmony. But even in this paradise, something was missing. Adam was alone. As Adam wandered through Eden, naming the animals, lions, elephants, and rabbits, he began to feel a profound emptiness. He had no companion, no one to share this beautiful world with. The animals, though magnificent, could not fill that space in his heart. He needed something more. God noticed Adam's loneliness. "It is not good for man to be alone," he said, and with that, he decided to do something spectacular. God caused Adam to fall into a deep, peaceful sleep. As he rested, God took one of Adam's ribs, and from it fashioned the most perfect creation, a woman. She was beautiful, graceful, and strong, her essence as much a part of Adam as his own. When Adam awoke, his eyes met hers, and a deep, joyful realization washed over him. At last, he exclaimed, "This is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." And so, God created woman, not as an afterthought, but as an equal, a companion, a partner to share in the joys and wonders of the world. Adam named her Eve, for she was the mother of all living things. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve walked side by side. Together they were stewards of the garden, caring for every plant and creature, living in harmony with nature. Their relationship with each other and with God was pure and unbroken. They had everything they needed: beauty, peace, and love. And God gave them one simple rule: you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from it, you will surely die. But for now, everything was perfect. They didn't need to worry about rules. They were simply immersed in the beauty and purpose of life. Their world was one of bliss and innocence. Adam and Eve lived in perfect unity with each other and with God. They were free from pain, suffering, and death. The possibilities were endless, and their love for one another was as deep as the ocean. But what happens when perfection is set before us, and we still have the freedom to choose? What happens when the world is made for us, and we're invited to shape it together? But that is a story for another time. And so, we leave the garden, with Adam and Eve at the beginning of a story that would change everything. A world of innocence, love, and perfect harmony. But remember, with every paradise comes the possibility of temptation. The journey is far from over. A tale of temptation and consequence. The garden was a paradise, untouched by the weight of sorrow, a perfect world where love and peace flourished. Adam and Eve walked hand in hand, surrounded by beauty beyond imagination. But in this Eden, where everything was good and peaceful, there lurked a force, a shadow that would challenge the perfection of creation. In the heart of the garden, where the sun filtered through the leaves and the rivers murmured secrets to the earth, a serpent slithered with a smoothness only a creature of darkness could possess. His scales shimmered with an unnatural gleam, and his eyes gleamed with mischief. He had been watching the man and woman from afar, observing their perfect harmony, knowing that there was one thing he could do to turn it all upside down. Eve, as she walked among the trees, caught the glint of something moving in the shadows. She turned, and there, coiled around the base of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, was the serpent. Did God really say you should not eat from every tree in the garden? The serpent's voice was smooth, like silk. He spoke with a cunning that could twist truth into a lie with a mere breath. Eve paused, her hand resting lightly on a nearby branch. She looked at the serpent, puzzled but calm. "We can eat from any tree in the garden, except for the one in the center. God told us that if we eat from it, we will surely die." The serpent chuckled softly, his voice full of mischief. "You will not surely die. You see, God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like him, knowing good and evil." Eve's heart stirred with curiosity. To know what God knew, to be like him, what a thought. She had never considered that the tree might hold a power beyond her understanding. As Eve stood there staring at the fruit, it seemed to shimmer with an almost magical allure. It was beautiful, its skin golden and smooth, its sweetness radiating even from afar. Her fingers itched to touch it, to taste it. She could almost hear the serpent's voice urging her on, like a melody she couldn't resist. "You desire wisdom, don't you?" The serpent continued, his words slipping into her thoughts like whispers in the wind. "God doesn't want you to be wise like him. He wants to keep you in the dark." For a moment, Eve hesitated. She thought of the perfect harmony that filled the garden, of the beauty around her. She thought of Adam, who was by her side in all things. But she was also curious. What would it be like to know what God knew, to have the wisdom of the Creator himself? Without realizing it, Eve reached for the fruit. Her fingers brushed against its smooth surface, and with a deep breath she plucked it from the tree. The moment her hand held the fruit, she felt a strange excitement, an urge to taste it, to break free of the innocence that bound her. The first bite was sweet, It was like nothing she had ever tasted before, like a burst of flavor that filled every corner of her being. She took another bite and another, feeling something shift deep inside her. The world around her seemed sharper, clearer, but also different. The colors of the garden, once warm and inviting, now seemed to shimmer with an unsettling brilliance. Eve turned to Adam, who had been nearby, and offered him the fruit. "Eat, Adam. It is good," she said, her voice full of a newfound confidence. Adam, who had always trusted Eve, saw something in her eyes, something he had never seen before. It was as if she had discovered a secret, a forbidden treasure. Without thinking, Adam took the fruit from her and ate. The moment the fruit touched his lips, he too felt a strange power awaken within him. It was as though a veil had been lifted, and for the first time they saw the world as it truly was. But with the revelation came something else. Shame. The peace that had once filled their hearts was gone, replaced by an awareness they had never known. They saw themselves, their nakedness, their vulnerability, and it made them feel exposed. It was as though the innocence they had once known had been stripped away, leaving them bare and afraid. For the first time, Adam and Eve felt the weight of their actions. They had disobeyed God. They had sought knowledge that was never meant for them. And with that knowledge came guilt, a heavy burden that pressed down on their hearts. As they wandered through the garden trying to escape the new feelings that plagued them, they heard the sound of footsteps in the distance, the sound of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. A deep dread filled their hearts. When they saw God, they hid themselves among the trees. But the Creator called to them, his voice full of both sadness and inquiry. "Where are you?" God asked. Adam's voice trembled as he replied, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself." "Who told you that you were naked?" God asked, his voice growing softer with each word. "Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" Adam, his heart heavy with regret, pointed to Eve. "The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, and I ate." God turned to Eve. "What is this you have done?" The serpent's sly voice echoed in her mind. Eve took a deep breath, her guilt rising like a tide. "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." And so the consequences of their choice were set in motion. God turned to the serpent, speaking words that would mark the beginning of its punishment. "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and you will eat dust all the days of your life." Then God turned to Eve, his tone full of sorrow. "I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." Finally, he spoke to Adam, his heart heavy with grief. "Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground." With one final, sorrowful gaze at the garden, God sent Adam and Eve out into the world beyond. He placed cherubim with flaming swords at the entrance to Eden, guarding the way to the tree of life, ensuring that they could never return. As they left the garden, Adam and Eve felt the weight of their choices settle in. The perfect world they had known was gone, and the consequences of their actions would follow them forever. The paradise they had walked in was now a memory, a story of what once was. And so, the fall of man began, not with the crash of thunder or the roar of a storm, but with a simple bite of fruit, a choice that would change the course of history forever, a choice that would bring pain, toil, and separation from the Creator. Yet even in the shadow of the fall, there was a glimmer of hope, a promise that one day all would be made right again. The story of temptation, sin, and redemption had only just begun.